And viewers, we proceed. Let's give you some more details that are now coming up. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has also said that the passing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei will not be mourned, adding that Khamenei's regime claimed countless lives. He has also said that he backs US military action in Iran. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand has said that over the past 18 hours, while in India, she has spoken with the G7 counterparts about the escalating Iran-related hostilities in the Middle East. She has also said she has been in contact with the foreign ministers of Israel, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Armenia and Azerbaijan, with more calls taking place. Anand has said Canada stands with the Iranian people and strongly condemns the attacks of the Iranian regime against its partners in the region, adding that these attacks must stop. She has also said Canada will continue to support Canadians across the Middle East and has urged Canadians in Iran to shelter in place. Manan Dwivedi continues to stay with us as a foreign affairs expert. Manan, we're already seeing volatility in the oil prices after US-Israel strikes on Iran and the retaliatory strikes in the Middle East. For how long should we expect this volatility to remain?
I personally feel that it has always been about money, it has been about capital, and oil has always been present as a kind of a perennial and omnipresent factor, which determines the geopolitics globally. Now, apart from oil, we have got certain other small elements, the transfer of money, the transfer of illegitimate and nepotic cash from one country to the other or from one organization to the other. And apart from that, human trafficking, migration, small arms trafficking, and issues such as climate change, they are the key issues which we need not relegate to the back burner. But as far as the oil thing is concerned, we are all aware of the fact, and I would just like to reiterate and support my other co-panelists, that United States of America, if you go back by 15-20 years, did not have a reliable source of oil, of that very key raw material. And after that, what actually happened was that once the shale oil and natural gas was discovered in America, and when the new refineries commensurate with the shale oil and natural gas were established both in America and outside America, then Americans started taking more of an interest. They started taking more of a inclination towards economic diplomacy, which has always been constituted by the transactional quid pro quos of oil trade. This is one part of it. Nobody denies it, that oil and mullah happen to be the key factors. But still, I would once again like to latch on to this word, that is the grand strategy. The grandiose strategy, wherein there happen to be a few catchphrases which we can latch on to here, which determine the American response to recalcitrant states and rogue states since antiquity, since their entry into the world game in 1898, when the US-Spanish War occurred. The idea is that of manifest destiny. The theme is that of Mount Sinai exceptionalism. The theme is that of American hypercuisance, wherein the idea is that United States of America has always believed, we also had our guest speaking on democracy, that they are the harbingers and they are the guardians of the liberal democratic order. Now, how much harm they have done to the entire global polity as far as this particular big word is concerned is not something which I would dwell upon here. But still, I would like to contend that the democracies do not go to war with each other. It's a very old IR theoretical percept. Now, India, Israel, America, they seem to be part of this grand design, that grandiloquent strategy, wherein they are not doing it on their own. But countries who form the the rogue state actors of the world, that is Iran, Turkey, Russia to a lesser extent, because it's a very old and trusted ally of India. And China, the Chinese dragon always breathing down our neck. So, these countries might later on in the new global order form a phase, would form a flock of countries, would form a coalition, which would be pitted against an America-led coalition of the willing. So the Iran war and something else which ensued in Venezuela and the other smaller conflict well springs of the world, they are all part of this grand design. It's not that we are being warmongers or we are talking about a complete Armageddon. Nobody wants a war, and war is the least acceptable and appreciable element of global diplomacy and foreign policy. But the culpability of countries like Iran had to be established. The Americans chose their own time. They were preparing for it for a couple of months, but it could have been done much earlier. The same threat which bedevils India are similar threats which have been bringing down and which have caught the the financial resources of America and Israel. So a global war on terror, which happens to be a much despised term because of the American involvement in it in 2011, that needs to be fought. It's a war going on not against Iraq or Ayatollah Khomeini, but it's a battle against the good and the evil. That is the American framing. That is also the Indian framing now. The idea, I'll just end with this particular word, slightly difficult for me to pronounce, maniachism. The idea of the us and them, wherein it was President Ronald Reagan who called the Iranians as the evil, the satanic empire. And President Donald Trump also made a return to that terminology and that nomenclature. So I think the common enemies can be utilized. The term enemy talks about only a state, but the non-state actors and their sponsors like Pakistan, Iran, and China, they happen to be the real culprits. As a citizen of the country and as a worried person for the well-being and the general stability in Iran, for the commoners and the plebeians there, I personally feel that it is a war which we cannot escape, which India has also taken up with the enemy through operations like the Uri attacks or the Operation Sindoor. So it's a grander design. Sudhakar Saab, I completely agree with him. And whether we want it or not, such conflagrations might become the order of the day. But as a culminating theme, I was just going to contend that, the Omani Deputy Foreign Minister, Badr Adul Saab, has gone on to contend today.
Interrupt you there, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I request you to stay on. Also request Anuj Mathur to stay on with us. We are slipping into a very quick break, but stay tuned. We are returning with more news and updates.